Hello and good afternoon, good evening everyone. स्वागत है आपका सभी का. Good evening. So very warm welcome to all of you on our platform as well as the YouTube channel Gradeup IAS. So very warm welcome to all of you, and I hope all of you are doing well. So today we are starting up with a new lecture series, right? And this is a new series that is being started on this platform of Gradeup IAS. So please do tell your friends that we have started up a new series for you guys, right? And I think many a times I've mentioned this to you that RSTV debates, they are very important as far as points are to be collected for mains examination are concerned, right? So we are starting up a new series where we are going to present to you RSTV debates that have come up in the past, right? Important discussions that have taken place over these topics. So please do share it with your friends that every day at 6 p.m. in the evening, I, Naman Jain, is going to take your session on RSTV debates. So do share it with your friends, right? Let's increase the viewership also on this because all of you, I think, understand that RSTV debates are a very important source for collecting points for the mains examination. Okay. And we are going to discuss the important topics, and this is going to be more like a mains primer. You can directly jot down points, right? And I will majorly take it in the form of question and answer, right? For example, in the times of coronavirus pandemic, what can be the steps taken by the government to re-establish the economy or restart the economy, right? So what all points can you mention in the answer? And I'll give you straightforward answer to it, right, in the form of points. So this is going to be direct fodder for mains examination. So this is going to help you guys, right? Let's start with today's topic then. So today's topic that we have is related to the subject economics, GS paper 3, economic development. And the topic is India's path to economic recovery. India's path to economic recovery. Now, if you look at the topic, this itself tells you that Indian economy is in shambles and Indian economy is really suffering right now, right? Why? Because of the coronavirus pandemic, because much of the workers, they are facing out jobless situation, right? The employment opportunities have been cut down, and to a very large extent, many of India's informal workforce is suffering right now due to decreased demand in the economy, right? So what can be the particular steps or what can be this path with respect to India's economic recovery, right? Now let me present to you the context of this. So in this topic, we are going to discuss the roadmap for recovery of Indian economy, and despite of a setback on the account of COVID-19 pandemic, we are still going to emphasize on the fact that yes, absolutely, Soumya, this is the first class in this series. Okay. Good evening, everyone. So we are going to discuss in this that Indian economy had established a target for itself, right? So present government had also established a target with respect to $5 trillion, and I think you remember this $5 trillion economy, and we want to achieve it. So the bigger question is that due to corona pandemic, will this target of achieving $5 trillion economy by 2024, right, will be achieved or will it get delayed? Will it get delayed? The question is, what is going to happen to this target that we have established? Yes, absolutely, Anupam. This will continue on a daily basis, Monday to Friday. Okay, let's start then. So very recently, our Prime Minister emphasized on the fact that Indian economy will achieve $5 trillion target by 2024, and he expressed this in an interview, right? And he said there are 5 indicators which represent the 5 green shoots in our economy. 5 green shoots in our economy, right? What are these 5 green shoots? These 5 green shoots are record production in terms of agriculture, right? For example, if we look at the production of the Rabi crop, right, of last year, which was harvested in the month of April this year, if you look at it, right? So the harvest really shows that we went for record production, right? Also with respect to Kharif crop, rice crop, if you look at it, paddy, there was record production and procurement by the government agencies. Now we can understand that procurement was increased heavily because market entities were absent. Yes or no? Absence of market entities pushed the government to increase the procurement from the market. Second, he mentioned that second green shoot is record FDI inflow. So FDI, foreign direct inflows in the country, has surged very recently. Why? Because due to the demand component in the economy, Indian economy is being pegged to recover at the fastest rate in the world, and thereby foreign direct investment from outside is also increasing on a regular basis. Third, he says that demand resurgence, right? Demand dipped, demand went down, and then resurgence. Resurgence means coming back. So demand resurgence as shown by the growth in auto and tractor sales is also quite good, right? And fourth green shoot, he says that there is improvement in manufacturing in the country, right? So we are producing better quality goods. We have revamped our manufacturing part. And then fifth green shoot, he says that there is still improvement in the subscriber base, which is provided by EPFO. Which means again, sir, that the number of subscribers under EPFO is increasing, which means better job opportunities must be getting created, or formal job opportunities must be getting created, and pension benefits are being subscribed to. Yes or no? So he says that these are 5 green shoots in Indian economy, which goes on to show that Indian economy is on its recovery path already, right? Now first we need to understand what is this $5 trillion economy, in case you haven't heard, right? I don't think there is anyone who hasn't heard about $5 trillion economy target which was announced by the Prime Minister. So Prime Minister, he himself had announced this target of $5 trillion economy by 2024, and this is going to make India the third largest economy of the world. Third largest, sir. Please remember. Third largest economy of the world. Right? Currently, at what position are we? Currently, we are at 4th and 5th position. Right? So it keeps varying out. Right? So we are currently at 4th or 5th position. Then it refers to the size of the economy as measured by the annual GDP, gross domestic product, and currently India is at, please mention, it is at 4th and 5th position, not at 6th. Right? Last year we beat France and right, Britain, and we captured on to the 4th position. However, due to coronavirus pandemic, it is very much possible that British economy might again step forward and it may rise above, right? So it is not 2.7, it is $2.9 trillion. $2.9 trillion by the end of December 2019, right? This calls for pulling all the economic growth levers, which is your investment, consumption, export, and across all the 3 sectors of agriculture, manufacturing, and services, right? So kya keh rahe? It is trying to say that we want to push our levers of growth, which is your investment, right? Want to invest more, we want to consume more, right? And we want to also export more. So domestic consumption will increase. We want to export more to the nearby countries, let's say Southeast Asia and other countries also, and we want to do this across all the 3 sectors, which is agriculture, manufacturing, and services, right? We don't just want to be services dominant economy, we want also to be agriculture and manufacturing dominant economy, right? We want to definitely want to increase their share in the economy. Next, Ada, what is the impact of COVID-19 on Indian economy? Now see, this can be asked in the form of a direct question, or this can be asked in the form of challenges currently for Indian economy, right? So please remember this. Challenges for Indian economy. 60% of the production and manufacturing, they were on a standstill from March to May, right, during the lockdown stage, which caused huge dent to the economy, right. So 60% of economy had gone down, right. Production and manufacturing were on a standstill due to the lockdowns that were imposed in the country to prevent the number of rising cases of coronavirus. However, agriculture sector did perform very well by showing positive growth and showed record consumption and production in the country. In fact, our supply chains were revamped with government intervention, and government intervention really helped the farmers, right? Then there were high FDI inflows between April and August, close to $36 billion, which is 13% higher than last year in the same period. Which means instead of investors going to other countries, they focused more on country which is going to be on a consuming spree in the coming years, right? Which is going to consume more in the coming years, and thereby 13% higher FDI in the same time period of April to August as compared to last year. Then demand resurgence as shown by the growth in auto and tractor and increase in the enrollment of EPFO subscriber base, which is an indicator of growth and demand. Next, it says that DBT Aadhaar, Digital India has come out to the rescue to not only distribute aid to the people but also monitor and implement government's policies. Right? So, direct benefit transfer, Aadhaar system, Digital India has been revamped. It is helping the people not only to receive the intended benefit but also monitor and implement government policies. So, less of government machinery and more of governance. The target is also being achieved through the Digital India initiative. Also, there has been improvement in the job market, right? So these are certain aspects that we have seen practically in this times of coronavirus pandemic, right, in India. Next, what are the challenges for Indian economy after the phase of coronavirus? The first challenge would be that there is a slow pace in carrying out land and labor reforms in the country, right? So this is a very major challenge. In fact, if you have attended my classes in mains, I've specified out, right, each of these reforms, and I've told what are the possible challenges with respect to land and labor reforms, right? So the pace of these reforms is quite slow in our country, and this might be a very major challenge, right? Second is that the infrastructure development in the last decade is also very slow as compared to 2000 to 2010, right? Now this can be accounted due to failure, or we can say due to decreased role of private sector, right? And this can be due to PPP models not performing well. PPP models not performing well, especially after 2013, right? Then there is a major funding related problem. So India does not have very powerful institutions that can fund long gestation infrastructure projects, and banks do not have long-term liabilities to match such loans, and lenders have been wrong in the past by not following healthy lending practices, right? So this is also a major problem, that funding has been quite slow, right, with respect to long infrastructure projects, right? Also, we have small sized banks, and thereby for them also it is not sustainable enough to lend in longer time periods, right? And thereby government did go on for merging of the banks, right? Next, it says the next challenge with respect to economy is government's excessive involvement in business, right? In fact, Economic Survey 2020 mentions this. 2019-2020 Economic Survey mentions this, that government needs to pull off its hands from business activities where it feels that these business activities can be carried out by market entities in a very free and transparent manner, right? So government's excessive involvement should be cut down, and government should be involved more with public infrastructure rather than public companies, right? So we can specify this. Rather than public companies, government should be more interested in public infrastructure. Right? Next आता है यहाँ पे underemployment and disguised employment, especially in the primary sector. So what is disguised unemployment? Disguised employment is nothing but overemployment in the agriculture and allied sector activities where we find there is surplus labor involved, and this surplus labor, it dents the sector in two manners, right? First, it is harmful for the sector because as there the number of employees, as the number of workers increases, per person income drops down, per person income decreases. And second negative impact of overemployment in this sector is that this sector, this labor could be employed in other sectors and it could have been productive in other sectors, and the chance to employ this sector, the chance to employ this labor into other sectors is also gone due to overemployment of this labor in agriculture or allied sector, right? So it basically comprises of two negatives as far as the economy is concerned, right? Then what is to be done to improve the economy by COVID-19 shock? Now this is where we start our economic recovery path, right? So the article, the debate basically specifically mentions that majority of the problems in our economy are related to agriculture, and thereby agriculture sector reforms, they reflect the mindset of New India, which believes in free markets, free trade and openness and globalization. However, I must remind you that currently protests are being held up, right, across the country. In fact, Delhi has become a zone for protest. In fact, there was news from today also, right? So protesters, they have been marching towards Delhi and we have been holding up protests against these farm acts that have been brought in. However, government is quite firm in its resolve. Government has explained this, that these reforms that have been made, they will only encourage the markets to act in a free manner, right? In a transparent manner, where farmer can really get a good value for his or her product, right? Now this shows the shift from old mindset of government interference, and thereby these reforms, they should further strengthen and implemented in a proper manner are going to strengthen the markets in our country. Second thing, what has been done is human capital is extremely critical on our path to becoming $5 trillion economy, and the new education policy is really hopeful to strengthen the human capital, right? So our education policy, which is an action now, the new education policy, right, which is an action now, which will strengthen the human capital and will provide us with skilled workers for the future needs, right? Third thing, it says that there's a very big need for investment in infra, which is being funded through NIP, National Infrastructure Pipeline, NIP, right? And digital economy and for job creation in small and medium firms. So we can say NIP is there to basically plug this gap, and few reforms like new farm bills, new education policy and labor reforms, they are the building blocks that will eventually get us to the $5 trillion economy mark, right? Now there's a need to revive the NPA issues also. So there's a need to work over the NPA issues of the banks, NPAs of the banks, right? We can't have banks which are infested with NPAs, right? We need to strengthen them. We need to give them powers in order to counter the NPAs, right? Also improve the ecosystem as a whole, which means better implementation of government schemes and better delivery mechanism system. I would say the model of more governance and less government, more governance and less government. This model works best actually, right? Which is being implemented very well, right? Through the Digital India initiative, we can say. Digital India initiative, right? Okay, Anu says recently Lakshmi Villa Vijaya Bank. It has been put on moratorium by RBI. What does it mean? See, putting up a bank on a moratorium means that the bank cannot spend resources, right? So expenditure of the bank is being curtailed, and the bank also resisted to a large extent that why such conditions are being imposed. So moratorium simply means we are trying to rescue the bank from a condition which it may land up in the future. वो है moratorium stage. So expenditures of the bank, unnecessary expenditures will all be cut down, and all the expenditures will be routed through RBI. So there will be a scrutinization of all the expenditures that the bank wants to incur, right? Next, we need to acknowledge the biggest threat which is faced by humanity today, which is climate change and biodiversity loss, and we need to orient our economy to become a low waste economy and increase our resource efficiency, which is your zero defect, zero effect policy, right? So we want to manufacture less amount of waste, right? So products which will have less amount of defects can have more impact over the lives of the people, right? So zero defect, zero effect on the environment. That is the next step forward with respect to the economy. Okay. Next आता है 70% infrastructure is yet to be built in India, and if we send out the right signal, we can bring in a huge investment. Now it is not about retrofitting the old system; it is about building new system. Now this talks about newer cities, newer infra altogether, right? And I think I've mentioned in my lectures also to you that in terms of newer infra, you can count dedicated freight corridors, you can count the new railway routes that will be built up, you can count the new expressways that will be built up, newer cities that will be laid out across these new pathways, right? Coastal zones, economic zones that will be built up in order to push the infrastructure in the country, right? Yeah, customer can withdraw the funds. Yes, absolutely, customer can withdraw the funds. उसके terms में there are certain specific conditions that are specified by RBI. How much can a customer withdraw, right? Again, all that details are not relevant for us. Next आता है with the introduction of the fourth industrial revolution, technology is going to play a very major role. So where technology drives modern economic growth rate, we need to realize the full meaning of cooperative federalism by focusing on not just the center and states, but also invest heavily in the urban centers, which is third level of governance, which is your municipality level, right? Which has the power to give a push to technology production and increase in productivity in such regions also, right? So these are a few things that we can specify upon, we can improvise upon. Now, what is the conclusion that we withdraw out of the entire article? So we have certainly seen green shoots in an economy and signs and indicators which are quite positive, and there's a need to have policies and reforms that are sustainable, resilient, futuristic, so that in future we can deal with the unpredictable situation which we are facing today due to COVID-19 pandemic, right? So what we are facing today, I mean, similar situation we don't want to face in the future, and thereby we need to build a resilient and futuristic economy, right? Futuristic economy in order to not have face such situations in the future, right? Then there is a possibility for India to achieve its target of $5 trillion economy by 2024, but a lot needs to be done now and then, and there's a need to improve the ecosystem as a whole and have proper regulations and also undertake large scale reforms and create a conducive ecosystem effectively, right? See, government on its parts need to act as a facilitator rather than as an inhibitor, right? So government will have to take its responsibility with respect to facilitator. We'll need to encourage private individuals, private investors, private enterprises to take up business activities to provide solutions to the challenges that we see in the business environment today. And this can really help the economy transform in a much more efficient way towards the $5 trillion economy mark, right? Now, what are the important points to remember? Key takeaways. First, 60 production of the production and manufacturing, they were on standstill from March to May. Please remember this. This was a huge dent to the economy. Second, agriculture sector did perform really well with positive growth in the first quarter and showed record consumption and production also, right? Third thing, please remember, high FDI inflow between April and August, 36 billion, right? $36 billion, which is almost 13% higher than last year in the same period. See, this is important. Why? Because these numbers that I'm telling you are important because these are actual number proofs, right? For you to basically write up as, right, in order to substantiate your statements. And fourth, you can say that DBT Aadhaar, Digital India, it has come to the rescue to not only distribute aid but also monitor and implement government's policies, right? So I'm not talking about farmers' protest today. I am not talking about all of that, na? Also, it is not our job to really get into what is going to happen if farmers are not satisfied with government talks, right? Government machinery का काम है. हमें करना क्या होता है? आप समझो वाली बात है ना? See, you are you are not government, right? What we can do is we can voice, right? We can give voice. For example, if we understand the issue well, we can talk about it. We can tell the farmers that, see, this is going to happen and this is where you are going wrong, right? We can tell them that this is the place where you are correct in terms of protesting, right? But abhi to I mean, it is almost not feasible enough, I would say, right? And government definitely is going to hear it out, you know. Every government is basically of the people, for the people, and by the people. In case it forgets the point that it is not of the people and for the people, and definitely the governments do get thrown away, right? Simple. Chalo. So agricultural reforms reflect the mindset of New India, which believes in free markets, trade openness, and globalization. It is a shift from the old mindset. Human capital is again extremely critical on our path to becoming a $5 trillion economy. And the new farm bills, new education policy, and labor reforms, these are the building blocks that will eventually get us to the $5 trillion mark, right? Also, I would like to add changes in land reforms or land laws, right? Changes are also required, certain changes may be required in order to give a boost to the infrastructure prospect in the country. Also, we need to acknowledge the biggest threat which is being faced by humanity today, which is climate change and biodiversity loss. And we need to orient our economy to become a low waste economy and increase our resource efficiency, which is less input and more output. Okay? Chaliye. Next आता है इसमें last. So 70% of the infrastructure is yet to be built in our country, right? So we can bring in huge investment in the form of ESG funds, and it is not about retrofitting the old system, it is about building new systems. And with the advent of fourth industrial revolution, technology is going to drive the modern economic growth rate. So we need to realize the full meaning of cooperative federalism by focusing on center, state, and also the local self-governments. Local self-governments, which is the third tier of governance, and 40% vacancies in high courts, 125 police officers for every 1 lakh people, UN recommendation, right? There's a need to augment the state capacity also. So we need to revamp the capacity for governance, right? Capacity for governance, and we need to enhance it on the scale of the population also, right? Then resolving NPA issue and strengthening the banking sector is the need of the hour. Rationalization of tax structure, judicial reforms for fast tracking cases, a better database of citizens for efficient delivery of benefits, right? Next, we can say there is a need to simplify the GST norms, right? Specifically, we have seen that it has dampened the spirits of the small scale traders and industrialists, right? So definitely, we need to simplify the GST norms, especially for the MSME sector, which contributes 29% of GDP and 49.66% of the Indian exports, and we need to focus on the MSME sector. There is a need for formation of policies which should be sustainable, resilient, and futuristic so that we can deal with unpredictable situations like pandemic situations that we are facing today. And the most important thing is implementation, because we do have a lot of policies that haven't been implemented very well, right? So in order to give a boost to the economy, we need support system, right? We need support system of the women. We need startup culture, right? So the point is to work on holistic development while the government is now working on it, right? So definitely we need to take steps in the same direction. Any questions, any doubts that you would like to ask? Any questions, any doubt that you would like to ask? I think it's clear hoga. This might be very much clear to you. Okay, after NCRTs, you can refer to economics dictionary, which is Collins. You can take Oxford also, right, for terms that come up in news. And second thing I would say, Atiya, I would say that you can study Indian Economy by Ramesh Singh. As a reference book. Again, reference book means that in case you find any trouble in understanding, right, a particular topic, then you can specifically refer to specifically refer to, okay, to this book for that topic. You can prefer an economics dictionary also for terms. Economics dictionary for terms related to economy. In this you can prefer either Oxford, Collins, whatever your choice is. Collins dictionary or Oxford dictionary. Any of the two. Anyone. Whichever you understand. Dictionary is dictionary, so no difference as such. Any other question? Any other doubt? ठीक है. So I'll stop here, right? I'll stop here. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys tomorrow back at 6 p.m. right? With this RSTV special, and we will again deliberate over an important topic, right? Where I'll give you pointers related to the topic, straight away question answer format, right? Where we will not diversify, we will not deviate from the topic. Please understand, right? When I'm taking these sessions, we are not supposed to divert from the topic, right? So we will stick to the topic so that we can collect points, right? Over just, let's say, half a page of A4 sheet, right? Chali. So thank you very much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Have a great day. Thank you very much.